They say fix it in post are the 4 words nobody on a shoot ever wants to hear. How do you feel about that phrase? It depends on who's saying it. If I'm saying it, I'm putting it on myself because generally I'm post.
Yeah.
But if someone else is like, can we fix that in post? I'm like, can we not? But this is nothing, so that's not a big deal. So I'm fine to fix that in post. We're going to call that a show. Thanks,
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Goodbye.
All right. I will stop the recording.
Nyop. Catch. Staircease. There's nothing in here.
It's right.
We have no secrets.
Checkpoint is a very transparent news program.
Yeah.
All right, let me do the thing with the thingamajig.
Still don't really get that joke. The game Golf was in a folder called Flog. Flog is golf spelled backwards. Okay. I did see that, Anarin. That was really weird. I wasn't sure what to make of that for a story, but yeah, Paul, did you see that? Oh, you want this microphone here? Did you see that Fortnite very, very briefly had crossplay between PS4 and Xbox?
Very briefly?
Yeah, they accidentally enabled crossplay, and then we're like, whoops, 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 whoops.
So you mean all this time when people are like, no, crossplay is pretty hard to do, it's just a checkbox?
Well, it's a checkbox if they've planned to have a checkbox in there, which they apparently did. So. You can do crossplay with Fortnite between PC and PS4 if you know how. That seems interesting. I don't think anyone claimed it was hard to make. The problem with Sony. Well, no, I mean that's the criticism there is like, why doesn't X game have X feature? All you have to do is incredibly simple procedure, says someone who's never worked in game dev.
Right.
Right. Like people criticize developers all the time for not having, XYZ feature, being like, well, I could do that in a week, and it's like, no, you fucking can't. Stop talking. Sit down. You're embarrassing everybody. But in this case, they obviously have a crossplay. Obviously they have crossplay functional in that game, and someone did actually enable it by accident.
But at the moment, it's some sort of legal issue why it's not. Mm-hmm. All right. So
yes, Epic says it was a configuration issue, which implies a literal checkbox. Yes, they had to build.
Yeah.
Sorry, to be clear, and this goes for everything. This is like adding multiplayer to a game or adding any feature to a game. It can be a checkbox if you build it.
Yeah.
People saying, why not just add multiplayer to a game? It's just turn on the multiplayer thing. It's like, well, we have to actually make it. So in this case, they made the crossplay. That's the hard work. Once you've made it, then it can be a checkbox. But if they hadn't actually built crossplay to work, then it wouldn't be. In what game? Fortnite. It's one of the...
Yeah, we played it on 18 games one time.
It looks like fun.
It's sort of interesting. Yeah, it's sort of a... it's like tower defense and also...
arena shooter, kinda?
Well, it's more like tower defense and also like sort of Minecraft-y stuff. It's weird.
Arena, like PvE arena shooter. I mean,
yeah, I guess
you don't fight other players, do you?
No.
Yeah.
But it's like tower defense, but you have to go collect resources like Minecraft. So it's a little weird.
So yeah, the stories we talked about. Hearthstone. I kind of love that this deck exists. Right. This is like the. Someone said like lantern control, where you just mill your opponent out by constantly putting stuff back into your graveyard. But it sounds like It sounds miserable. The fact that you just, if you get a mirror match, you just have to sit there until someone dies.
Yeah. Speaking of miserable game things, I saw a great post on Magic TCG the other day that someone was talking about that they're playing a game and at a LGS, and their opponent went off with their Storm deck, and as they were about to go off, they gave them a coloring book and crayons as something to do while the other guy operated his Storm deck.
Wow. I don't know if that's really polite or super bad manners. It's like you're not going to have anything to do for a few minutes. So
I think it's polite. I think it's a nice thing to do. I think it's consideration for your opponent.
It's like, I know this is going to take me.
I know that this is a boring thing that I'm about to do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of funny that Blizzard's solution. I hope that's just a Band-Aid. That it's like, okay, we're gonna make it so someone actually wins after 2 hours, rather than just a draw. But I hope that, I feel like that's the sort of thing that you don't want in your game, right? That
like
kind of
an infinite loop, like
yeah.
that.
Like I love that. I think fatigue is a really interesting mechanic because in Magic, if you draw from an empty deck, you just lose. And in Hearthstone, because it's a very different style of card game, it's a lot quicker, and there's less moving parts. Having if you try to draw from an empty deck, you lose 1 life. I think is very interesting, and I love the idea that you can make a deck that takes advantage of that. But then having this deck have the situation where both decks are just like, well, I have more life right now, so in another hour and 50 minutes, I'm gonna win. Go. It just sounds awful.
Well, it's and as a couple people mentioned that it's you do lose more life each time. Like you lose 1 life the first time you run out of cards, and then you lose 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Progressively.
Yeah, sorry. So, seemingly only having the card once solves the problem, I guess, yeah. Right, sorry, you lose 1 life for each time you have tried to draw from an empty deck, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I misspoke there. Anyway, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has now cleared Dota 2's record for the most concurrent users ever on Steam.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's interesting because, of course...
This is live. Hello.
Dota, or basically any other online game, each game is going to be like, 10 people or something. Mm-hmm. Whereas PUBG, it's 100 people per group, ideally, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that... the number, there don't have to be as many games concurrently going, I guess, to get your numbers up real high.
Yeah.
But, it's got to be good for them.
That's actually pretty impressive that with that many people running that many, because you can only have, and it's usually like 97, right? Like it's not usually a full 100. Like a game will fire anywhere north of, is it 55 or 60? But it generally fills up. It's like once it reaches the way the matchmaking goes is once it reaches the threshold that a game will fire, then it starts a 1 minute countdown, and however many people filter in before the end of that countdown, then it will go. So it's usually like 96 or 97. But 1.3 million people. How many actual games is that? And they've not really had a. It's not like, oh, the PUBG servers are melting again. Like, I'm not saying the connection has been perfect, but it's like, it hasn't been terrible considering the numbers.
Yeah, they've been able to build out pretty fast.
Yeah. MTG, what's up? Good to see you. So yeah, mostly that story though was an excuse for me to come up with more dumb names for the game. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but Blue Hole's Bridge Troll Screwball is. I was pretty happy with that. Although I actually think I prefer Nameless Guy's Cookware Dust Up from this week.
Why Blue Troll?
Bluehole is the developer.
Oh.
So it's Bluehole's Bridge Troll Screwball. Bridge trolling is like a thing that you do in the game where you hunker down on the bridge. So, man, Star Citizen. What a weird thing.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah.
We were talking before the stream about how there is the aspect of Star Citizen. So like obviously there's a certain amount of, it's hard to deny that there's a certain amount of vaporware-ish qualities to it, shall we say?
Thank you, Silver Titan.
But to be fair to them,
yeah.
unlike a lot of games that are in their position, they have actually delivered a lot of stuff. Like they have actually delivered stuff.
Yeah, like you see them actually posting tech demo stuff and gameplay footage and like trailers and like they're making stuff, right? So it's not like it's not a scam because they're certainly spending all these resources to create this content. And they're paying Mark Hamill and Gary Oldman to be in the game, right? But it's like, could you guys just fucking release something and then keep making bits,
I do worry that they're going to get into the sort of Duke Nukem Forever situation, where they're going to be so concerned about adding new features and adding things and stuff. So they're going to get to a point where their engine, where they outlived, like their engine gets too old, and then they have to rebuild everything again in a new engine.
It's not. So some people in the chat, and I saw this in the comments on the article I was reading on this as well, were comparing Chris Roberts and Star Citizen to a Peter Molyneux thing, and it's absolutely not, because someone used the term overpromising, right? Peter Molyneux would promise the world and then release a house. And be like, well, in my head it was going to be the world, but all we could really actually do on today's technology is this house. Here's a house, right? Star Citizen didn't overpromise. They promised this. Like they promised, a city block, which is much bigger than a house. They promised that. And then they're like, before we release the city block, they should talk to another city. So let's build another city. And then there's place between cities. There's like the countryside. We're going to build a countryside as well. Okay, now we're building a countryside. Yeah. We're building 2 cities and a countryside.
Like it is obviously very.
So they're feature creeping before they've even released the thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a example of feature creep. Like you can see on their a funding page on their website, because I think they did the initial funding through Kickstarter, but then they just kind of continued it on their own website.
I wasn't saying they were better or worse than Peter Molyneux, Malsarius, who's like, well, at least Molyneux released something. That's true. At least Peter Molyneux did release something. I'm not saying this is all shades of gray. I'm not saying that like one person is better or worse than any other person. But I think that I don't know. You can tell that they're working on something. I don't have any skin in this game. I think it's neat. It looks cool. It might be something that I'm into when it exists, but I'm not buying into it now. And there's people who are really excited about it, and there's people who think that it's a scam. And all right, yeah, everyone can have those opinions. I think that there's been a lot of just actual slander by individuals and even some websites trying to take down this thing that doesn't seem malicious.
Well, and I think there is also, there's the whole thing of expectations and stuff, right? That when the thing was initially proposed, obviously anybody who one was getting in on it and isn't that excited about all these new features.
Yeah.
They were, the game that they wanted has also been delayed.
Oh, it seems, yeah, I would agree with that. It doesn't seem like a scam. It definitely seems poorly managed. Because I think that, and again, so one important thing to remember is that generally in game dev, there's a bunch of time that we don't see.
Right.
Right. There's like 2 years before there's even an announcement, and then there's another 2 years, and like so. The thing with this is what Kickstarting and crowdfunding has done is sort of given all these people a window into the earliest, the earliest moments in game dev, and like delays happen all the time. We normally just don't know about it, or at least we aren't.
Changes in features.
It's not as transparent to us. So there's that to keep in mind. But also, it does seem like they're sort of, as they have all this money coming in, it seems like they have this sense of like, well, we need to add all this other stuff and we need to make it worthwhile. We need to make it worth all this money that we've crowdfunded, without someone being like, will you just do the thing? Just do the thing you said, and then do the other stuff.
I'm a little concerned that they're going to end up with the sort of Xenos paradox thing of continually making really great progress, but never actually reaching the end.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
So how long has it been delayed? I don't know, actually.
I mean, even the concept of delay.
Yeah, my point, Malsarius, was that this is not a Peter Molyneux situation. I'm just saying that this is a different situation, and comparing one-to-one is not. It doesn't make any sense. It's not helpful. Sorry.
And it's like even the concept of it being delayed is almost not even right, because it's like the game that is sort of been delayed, the game that hasn't come out yet that was promised earlier, isn't even really being made anymore, right? Like the game that's being made now is quite different from the game that was originally promised in terms of scope and ambition and all this stuff. So in some ways, it's not like the initial game was delayed. It's just changed into a different game.
Yeah, anyway. Lord Hosk, they will forever be getting halfway to the goalpost and then say, look how close we are. We can move that goalpost a little.
Yeah.
And then, so golf is on the Switch. Like NES Golf, the code for golf is somewhere inside the Nintendo Switch, but you can't actually get to it.
Yeah, by dumping the file system, they found a folder called Flog.
Yeah.
And
that wasn't a joke, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. And in that folder, there was a fully featured NES emulator that has motion control capabilities and this copy of Golf.
Yeah.
And
but they, as of yet, because I would never want to cast doubt against the hacking community, they, as of yet, can't figure out how to actually make golf happen. It's just like there's an emulator in there. And there's golf in there, but they're not like connected in any useful way.
No. The guy who did it has said has played it.
Oh, I thought I was reading a different article then.
There's been an update to it.
Oh well.
So he has played it.
There we go.
But it's not.
I was right not to doubt you.
He can't. He said I have played it.
Yeah.
And it's blah, 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 blah. But he can't actually it's not like there's a button sequence to unlock it. Like the only way to play it is by basically he didn't say exactly how to play it, but it sounds like you have to do all sorts of weird stuff to actually even access it. Like it's not like an Easter egg where you just do something and it'll appear. They actually are download, like they're ripping the whole hard drive and decoding it and then accessing it sort of manually.
Right there in RSU Laco Nib Odin Net Nin Flog.
Yep.
Did he play it? Yeah, did he play it on the Switch?
I do not know.
Huh. Yeah. I am also enjoying the success of the Switch. Mario plus Rabbids is way better than I would have thought that it would be. It's super fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've other than Mario plus Rabbids and Zelda, I haven't really heard of other games that are really blowing up. But it does seem like they've got some good stuff going.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see some of the stuff. One of the stories that I didn't bother sort of marking because it didn't seem like that.
Splatoon.
That's true.
Well,
I mean,
well, Mario Kart wasn't new for the Switch, though it is good.
yeah.
But it wasn't. It was re-released on Switch.
Yeah, it's true. Splatoon is big, but I didn't market the story. But the you know they're bringing Doom and another kind of
Skyrim. They are.
yeah. I thought there was another one that they just because Skyrim they talked about at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was like Doom and Wolfenstein. That's it.
Oh, Wolfenstein. Cool.
To Switch. So obviously trying to get a little bit more into that
I'm on board.
quote unquote core gamer area. I mean, you know, the Wii U had Bayonetta, so
Yeah.
it's not totally unprecedented.
Mario Kart 8 probably selling more Switch than it sold Wii U. Yeah, maybe.
But it's interesting though that they, yeah, I hope that they continue, you know, that it keeps going the way it has, and of course it'll be interesting to see what the how it affects like the 3D/2DS. And, you know, if they are literally actually gonna keep that around, or whether they're gonna eventually just be like, no, it's actually the Switch is actually the mobile thing now.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend.
This is like only very tangentially related, but this sort of thing really bothers me. There was a tweet going around like some months ago, basically just like
Sounds like some sort of illness. It's
Yeah.
like there's been a kind of a tweet going around.
There was a tweet going around.
I want to protect your tweets.
Basically, the whole point of the tweet was like just to make fun of Polygon, and it was like two different screenshots. The first one was like Mario Kart 8 will be the worst. Like why Mario Kart 8 will be the worst selling Mario Kart ever, and then Mario Kart 8 destroys sales figures or whatever. And people were just passing that around at face value, being like, "Ha, look at these fucking idiots." And it's like, in the screenshot, the first headline is from the DS section. So they're talking about Mario Kart 8 for DS. Also, it's from 6 years ago, from before the Switch was even announced.
Right.
And so, and if you go look at the article, the argument they're making is because it was only coming out for DS at the time, and it's like if they don't release it for Wii U, then the install base literally cannot sell enough copies of this to
make it worthwhile.
Yeah, to make it worthwhile. And it's like, but no, let's just claim that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about by taking their shit out of context.
To be fair, I mean, not to be fair, but the criticism I think you could have there is the tendency towards overly hyperbolic headlines.
I would agree with that. I would definitely.
That's
agree
probably
with
the criticism that's most appropriate there.
that. Yeah, I just think that the
why this will be the end of everything.
I just think that the tweet was really stupid.
Yeah.
But Graham, looking at things is hard and makes it so I can't be smugly superior. I know, but it makes me less annoyed. Oh well. Hey, and oh yeah, so they're remaking Half-Life 2 in the Half-Life 1 engine. By they, I mean some fans, some modders, not Valve, obviously. But what I found really interesting reading this article is they're having a lot of internal discussions among the group about like how bad to make a certain thing.
Right, whether they should make it look
Whether they should
make it look like the quality of Half-Life 1
Yeah.
by like actually making the assets from Half-Life 2 look worse.
Yeah.
Because while the engine is old, obviously it can display stuff.
Especially now with newer computers.
Right.
Right. So it's like, do we take the textures from Half-Life 2 and just have them running in Half-Life 1, or do we take the textures from Half-Life 2 and make them look bad so that they look like Half-Life 1 textures? And I think those are super interesting discussions that apparently have to exist because they're doing this project. So.
And of course, it's also one of those projects where it's like, why? What What a strange thing to ask.
Yeah.
We haven't even done it yet.
So, some other stories that we looked at but didn't do a full thing of. There's a interesting interview on Kotaku about being a fan of Overwatch and living in Africa where there are not servers. And you have to log into like the Europe or Asia servers at like 300 ping. And so it's like, there's certain heroes you just don't play. You don't play McCree and Widowmaker because you can't with 300 ping.
Yeah, and
play
I mean,
like
of course,
Reinhardt and Winston.
And of course, the irony is that Overwatch is, has been rightly lauded for their really interesting and diverse cast of characters,
including like Doomfist, who's from Africa.
And there's, the map that is just, I think it's just recently come out that takes place in Africa.
Yeah.
And in the world of Overwatch, Africa is like this really high-tech, global, there's all these big high-tech cities in Africa. It's one of the like superpowers in the world of Overwatch. Mm-hmm. And yet in the real world, Blizzard won't actually put a server there.
Yeah.
One measly server. How hard could that be?
just check that box.
Just put it in a closet somewhere.
Yeah. A bunch of people in chat are telling you that CC Cleaner is bad now.
No.
I don't know. Apparently it is gone. CC Cleaner malware is sinkhole and harmless. I don't know what that means, but a bunch of people are saying that it has gone bad in the past year. I don't know what that's something for you to look into.
Somebody left it on the shelf for too long.
All right. Hey, you want to learn how to make food from an esports team? Well, you're in luck. Team Envious, and pronounced envious, but spelled envy us. It depends on how people pronounce it, really. Whatever. They started a cooking show, and who was it? One of them made meatballs, and the article was like, and they actually look pretty okay. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, people can do more than one thing well.
It doesn't seem to be like
Right, Tymo made Tymo style meatballs.
It doesn't seem to be particularly like a synergistic thing. Like they're not like, this is food that you could make while you're gaming, or this is food for getting that gaming thing. Like,
because they're one of the teams that lives in like a team house.
Yeah.
So I assume that they like make food for one another or eat badly. I've never actually totally been clear on how a team house works. I imagine if
a combination of both.
I imagine if I were in that situation, I would eat badly. I would eat very badly and get into not good shape. But I get real good at whatever game I was playing. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. There's been another massive EVE Online thing that, God, we wanted to tell you about this because we love EVE war correspondency stories, but there is so much going on in this story. I'm actually just gonna whatever. It's on Ars Technica.
Yeah.
You can give us the TLDR.
Yeah, maybe a TLDR is basically what happened is the head of, or one of the heads of one of the biggest corporations, the SO2, I think they're called. Anyway, one of the head of one of the biggest corporations basically became somewhat disillusioned. CO2. Yes, the Judge CO2 situation. Became somewhat disillusioned with this whole thing. And he was effectively turned by the Goon Swarm and their allies.
Oh, right, of course, yes.
And so there was a very long con basically there where because this guy was like the head of one of the corporations, so he has access to everything.
Brief aside, Lamore, that is true. I'm just saying I would eat badly. Sorry, continue.
Circle of two, right? CO2. So this guy has access to everything. And so then over the, suddenly he, for one thing, he sells the main space station of the CO2 Corporation to the Goon Swarm, and presumably pockets all the money for that. So this space station, which, as we all know, in Eve, like things like ships and space stations and stuff, in order to build them, they require ridiculously huge amounts of resources that basically require like thousands of people over hundreds of thousands of hours to accumulate.
Yeah.
And in some ways, they have real world value because you can, because stuff can be exchanged for the pilot licenses.
Yeah.
You can't get the money out of the game, but there is some sort of real world value involved. So this space station is worth a whole ton of money, and it had all the stuff of this, that's where they kept all their stuff and their ships and things that weren't currently active in their giant space station with tons of guns, which is a reasonable place to put your stuff, unless the keys are owned by somebody who is not part of your team anymore.
Yeah.
And so not only did they lose all their stuff and their giant space station, but now their sworn enemies have a giant super powerful space station in the middle of their territory. It's a bad scene.
Total loss of value was around $22,000, says someone.
Whew. Yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't just one station; it was all of their keep stars. I don't know what a keep star is. Yeah, the judge sold us everything. Are you in? Are you in the swarm there, Doodles?
So yeah, it's what's so. And then, so on top of this, so there's the other guy that ran, or like one of the other heads of this big corporation that got screwed over.
Right.
Of course, I believe, understandably, a little miffed, shall we say?
That sounds miff-worthy.
Yeah. But it took a little far in the sense that he was like, I think the thing from the chat, the chat is like, where is Judge? Like in their internal chat, it's like, where is Judge? He should write something now while he still has hands, or something like that. And so he got banned from Eve for threatening another person.
Right.
So one of their leaders defected, the other leader banned from the game. Not a good scene. Not a good scene.
No. Eve drama. I love it.
It's real. What's particularly interesting about this, though, is that, of course, a lot of the stuff in Eve happens outside the game.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, how this guy got turned is through, over the course of...
He put out a call for the other guy's name and address, which
Yeah.
is why he was banned, to be clear.
Yeah.
Says someone in the chat.
And also threatened him.
Yeah.
But so he, how this guy got convinced to leave. Partially, there was various things that happened internally within his group that made him kind of disillusioned about the thing. But also through what's interesting is it was through the CCP has this program, I forget what it's called, but it's for basically the top players. They have like an event or like a group of the top players that sort of advise CCP.
Right.
They're kind of like a players' council.
Right.
And so they all get together. They fly them all to Iceland.
Right.
And they get together and they have like a big thing. And so over the course of a couple of these events, the heads of Goon Swarm were able to kind of worm-tongue their way into this guy's thing. And what's particularly amazing is the description is, because they were talking about, they're talking about, turning this, convincing this guy to betray his thing. Before they were when they were about to do that, they got one of the actual devs from CCP to come over, who was one of the newer devs from CCP and was interested in learning more about how the sort of metagame stuff happened. So they were like, hey, come over here and watch this. So not only did they turn this guy and make him betray his team, but they did it literally in front of one of the CCP devs.
Wow.
So anyway, super fun. As always, Eve is the best game to hear about, but probably not something I would want to play.
Even in a nutshell, people like to be the people's voice, spend their time trying to backstab each other's alliances during the meetings.
Yep. Because the great thing is that
Eve is serious business.
Because the idea is that when they're together at this, it's sort of the only time that they're together offline.
Right.
You know, where you can talk to where you can talk to somebody from the other team without it being like a public thing in like a chat channel or a forum or something.
Right. You can actually like speak one-to-one and it's not recorded anywhere. Yeah. And then last thing, someone made a VR headset for the Commodore 64 because of course.
Of course they did.
So it doesn't actually nothing like works in VR. It's the kind of VR where you like it's like you're sitting in a room watching the thing, right? It's not like they made all the games work in VR somehow. It's a VR headset.
So it's like now you can play games as if you really are there with a Commodore 64.
Surprise. Yeah. Anyway.
It's one of those ones that's substantially more expensive and less immersive than just getting a Commodore 64.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, that's what we got story-wise. Oh, wait, there was one other thing. Jeff Kaplan from the Overwatch team talked about how Blizzard dealing with player toxicity in Overwatch is actively preventing them from developing the game.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. Specifically, he was talking about consoles, I believe, and it's the people who are working on match replay and some other thing, I can't remember, had to be pulled off of the features they were working on so they can be put onto the team to stop people being assholes.
To stop people being assholes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a team that needs to be in every online game, and it should actually be called that, the team to stop people being assholes.
Yeah. So.
Asshole stopping team. Or asshole mitigating team, anyway. You can never really stop the assholes, but you can try to do what you can.
The problem, though, not Bruno again, is like, sure, they could take away the text chat, but like that's not really gonna help a huge amount, because to be good at, like, to do well in Overwatch, you need to be communicating with your team, voice chat being the ideal scenario, and like you can't take voice chat out of Overwatch.
Right.
Like and people can be ostensibly worse in voice chat than they can in text chat.
I would put forward that they can be, yeah.
Yeah, taking away the text chat is like not really a solution.
Yeah, I feel like the only online game that probably doesn't have a huge issue with player toxicity is like Journey,
Yeah.
where you can't actually communicate with the other person in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
They probably, and even then, people probably try to do stuff to fuck with each other.
Yeah. Can you still play Journey in that way? Like, don't you need a critical mass of other people playing Journey?
I think you can just like play it by yourself.
Yeah,
like you can
but
you can play Journey offline.
It's not the same though. That was an amazing experience, Journey. But yeah, you're right. Just zero communication except for like just your little mark.
And even then, somebody's just gonna like stand beside you going bloop 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 bloop, just to piss you off.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the news for today. And we're going to take off. And tonight, it's Tinker Tailor Solder Fry. And we've got our friend Ben in from out of town. And Ben's going to keep doing some work on the Naomi board.
Not Bengineering.
Exactly.
Dandy Geek Ben.
Yeah. And he's going to do some work on the Naomi emulation board. Not emulation, but the Naomi arcade board. And if I recall correctly, Ian's going to be making some SDI cables that we legitimately need.
At least a couple. I think the other thing he's going to be doing is some home automation stuff.
Cool.
We need, there are SDI cables that we need. I don't know if we're actually going to show us making all of the SDI cables that we need.
All right.
Because we do need a few.
As long as we get them made, that's all I really care about. Why order them when we can just get Ian to make them? But he can't make them yet because he needs to make them on the air. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that'll do it for this. Let's do the subs.
Alrighty.
Let us welcome the subs.
All the subs. Starting with...
Hi, Molly.
Hi, Molly. Wait, no. Starting
Molly
with...
Lewis.
Gaspode the dog for 1 whole year says yay!
Yay! The Walking 13, a new subscriber. Welcome to the channel.
Libixani for 17 months.
Comrade Josie, 12 months to 1 year. Welcome back, Comrade Josie.
Twinkle Bees for 18 months. Beep.
Club Neon, a new sub. Welcome to the channel, Club Neon. Thank you.
He's backing up. Wazelda for 45 months. I now have 5 sub babies. I've named them Blitz, Spud, Turnip, Dilly Bar, and
Steve Beach.
Steve Beach.
Hunter Prime with a 10-month resub. Hooray, it's my birthday and I get to resub up to LRR. Happy birthday, Hunter Prime.
God of Muffins for 38 months. 38 months, wow. Thanks for everything you do, Lers. Thanks for subbing.
Thanks for muffins. Arborist Andrew with a 24-month resub. 2 years. 2 years ago, Graham got me to sub by saying Corpline merch was on its way, and the rest is history. Wow. Thank you.
Roman Goro for 34 months. 34 months is almost 3 years, which means that 3 years ago I couldn't afford to support you, and now I still can. It's true. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lancer873 with 12-month resub. It feels so weird in the brief non-sub period when I don't have any LRR emotes. Also, 1 year.
Woo!
Woo.
Jadinum for 2 months. The notifier lies. I'm never around to subscribe online.
Ghostwise with a 10-month resub. Don't worry about it. The button is a feature. Thank you, Ghostwise.
Aquarionics for 41 months. Hooray, a boring number of months.
Blue Mechanic with a 39-month resub. Also a number of months. Mr. Bevers is a new Patreon supporter. Thank you for that, Mr. Bevers. Appreciate it.
CGS Guy 2 for 1 whole year. A glorious year of lore content. Thanks for all you do.
Sluggish Pig with a 2-month resub. Just trucking along.
Ace Shadow 132 for 2 months. 2 months? Thanks for all the content, guys. Have my free money that I got from Amazon.
We'll take it, and thank you for giving it to us. Bovard89 with a 4-month resub. Hey-oh, 4 months. Enjoy all the content LRR makes. Have a great day. You too.
Corpse for 17 months says hey button.
Hey, Corp.
Hello.
Me is bored for 5-month resub. Says, did I make it in time? You did.
You did. Macumus for 1 whole year. Yay.
Oh, and 1050 bits from Is an Insect, Just a Conspiracy, and Valhalla Knight. Thank you so much. Okay. Didn't know that would show up here, lol. We do that. I guess we don't tell people that happens. Well, it happens. Hello.
What? That we do the notifier?
No, the Patreon thing.
Oh, the Patreon thing.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks for subscribing, Mr. Bevers.
Yay.
Also, wow. Thank you.
We-
Much appreciated.
Yeah, the thing with the Patreon is that often that people are subscribing aren't necessarily in the chat right then. So they're not necessarily watching when that happens. So, but we like to thank people anyway.
Yeah. Okay. What's on New Day Tuesday tomorrow? So we're not sure because Adam is going to be playing the new Fightyman game. Is it Marvel Infinite?
Marvel
vs. Capcom Infinite, I believe.
Like that,
yeah. And the plan was for earlier in the day. Canvas Wolf Doll with a 29-month resub. No, that's Stormcount 29. Canvas Wolf Doll, welcome back. Or welcome. I can't tell from this interface if it's a comeback or not. Thank you for
Don't call it a comeback.
They could have been here for years. Canvas Wolfdoll, thank you. So the plan was for Alex to be playing Hive Swap, but we need him to film Friday nights. So we're going to try and fit Alex playing Hive Swap in somewhere, but we don't know where. Maybe it is tomorrow. Maybe later in the afternoon. We're not sure. We'll get back to you on that.
But in any case, tomorrow evening will be Marvel vs. Capcom.
I believe that's
Infinite,
the plan, yes.
Instead of one more.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, we got your 9 o'clock.
Yep.
And then we got your, we got
Oh, yeah, it's Watch and Play this week.
Watch and Play?
We're going to do Watch and Play this week.
The triumphant return of Watch and Play.
Return of Watch and Play. And maybe Ben has some other stuff, some other awful stuff for us. We're not sure. But I'll have to confirm with him whether or not I need to prepare any games or not, or if he's going to have a couple. So we'll see. And
then Wednesday evening, we've got AFK, of course, which is their new schedule. Wednesday evening is AFK, where we're playing, what's it called? The Dice...
Yeah, Dice Must Flow.
Dice Must Flow, which is the Dune dice game.
It looks really cool. So, I'm super into it.
Should be sweet.
Not that I'm playing it, because I'm not, but I'm into the idea. It's it should be Ben and Ian and Beej and Cameron and Kathleen, I think, if we can, because we're trying to get 6 players. Because there's 8 factions in the game, but there's some of them you can only play at certain player minimums, or else they would warp the game. So you can only play the Bene Gesserit if you have 5 players. You can only play the Bene Talalik if you have six players. So we're trying to get up to 6 players because apparently that's where the game truly begins. So,
oh, well, that's good. We wouldn't want to play a game that hasn't begun.
Yeah. Oh, and hey, this Friday, assuming that they arrive, we should have the Commander decks to do Commander 2017 on Magic on LRMTG on Friday night. So.
Alrighty. Lots of stuff. And as always, check out loadingreadyrun.com/live to see the schedule.
Or twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun events.
Yes.
/events.
You can see up there somewhere.
Up there somewhere. Unless you're watching on mobile, in which case I don't know how you're supposed to find it on mobile. If someone knows how to find it in the mobile app, please let me know. Not even kidding. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.